me just get us connected here in Rumble. Should be the link right there. Guys, if you are just starting to see this or hop in the Telegram. That's our kind of ops base. I'm throwing the link in there too. There we go.
Yeah.
I think we should be good now. Telegram is kind of messed up, but it's all right. We're just gonna try to post that afterwards, or just post clips of it on Instagram. I need to be better with the short form. I've been moving around a lot, so appreciate all of you. Can you hear me decently on this? Like, I got these wired headphones now.
Yeah,
I hope that's
you
better
sound
than
great.
Okay. I hope that's better than like what I had before. But either way, guys, we put this in like audio enhancement software. So by the time you guys probably get it, probably doesn't even matter at the end of the day. But how have you been, Anthony?
Doing good, man. A little bit of changes up at work. So it's kind of, well, I say work. I fresh work like 2 jobs right now. The day job I work is what I'm talking about right now. So that's been good, adjusting to that. Grinding away at new tasks. Once I kind of hit a major milestone of alt cryptocurrency being launched. We're looking at 1 week or 2 weeks. December 12th, I guess 1 week. Not quite 1 week.
It was the
So
6th
yeah,
we
after
launched.
that too, just the 6th. I'm thinking of a different day.
Yeah,
So
it was
was
10
2
days
weeks
ago.
Yeah. Since then, just working on some new stuff. Working on helping Caleb develop some things need to be developed. Working outreach, and it's been good, man. It's definitely a season that we'll look back fondly on later in our timeline.
Yeah, it's, to me, right, I think of it like a Rube Goldberg machine, right, where you have all these moving parts and one thing leads to the next and they're all integrated with each other, right? But if you pull one piece out of that, actually, I like the idea of like an engine better, right? Like a V8 engine. If one of the pistons gets removed, the engine's not going to have any power. It's not going to do its job. And you kind of need every little piece of that puzzle, I guess, just like a Rube Goldberg too, to perform. Otherwise, you're not going to get to the end zone. And that end zone for us is like sustainable growth. But we need everything in our web or ecosystem of the Altura platform connected. For most of you guys, right, it's our cryptocurrency, it's our membership NFTs that you can resell, to own your education and your experience. And then it's the actual website and platform. And then obviously the social media. It's kind of what Andrew Tate went through. It's kind of what Iman Gaji went through. Anybody that had one of these big community platforms had to go through this phase where they had to build it all out, right? And so they weren't promoting it. They weren't getting big, revenue coming in the time that they were setting up the website. They did that at the end, right? When Iman came out and launched his program, he did all the work beforehand to set it up in the silence. And those are all the private victories that we're trying to at least share here with our small community that are tuning into this live stream. But at the end of the day, millions of people are going to see this. And you guys have the luxury of being early to this movement, which also, right, early to anything. That means you can make a lot of money by getting into the things that we're building here too. Just like buying the currency or owning a couple memberships you can resell, because there's only 8,888 of those. So a lot of stuff in the works just to get the platform to recognize all that stuff. I'll share my big win for the week. That was today. Actually, I just tested and we got it confirmed. So when you guys log into alturasociety.com, it's down here somewhere, and you make your account, and then you link your Ethereum wallet, which is where you'd hold your NFTs when you buy them. It's discounted right now. Or if you link your Solana wallet where you hold the Altura token, the cryptocurrency, it'll recognize the actual balances in those wallets. And then if you have over 50,000 tokens, or you just have an NFT, you guys get a free membership for right now, because we want to give you guys access to the features, and we want it to feel like a kind of a community like that. So big win. We're working on the live chat. I know we talked a lot about that, getting like a platform specific chat operational. And then obviously, Anthony, we know we're launching that. We're trying to get the mobile app developed, right? So you guys can use the planner, the calendar, the AI on your phone, because that's such a big preference to have that on the go. I don't think I rarely use like Grok or ChatGPT on my desktop. I'm mainly using it on my phone on the go when I'm trying to think through ideas. So that'll be a big win for us. So a lot of stuff in the works. You guys got to be patient. It's the holiday season, things slow down, but overall, I'm really happy, man. This has been a lot. So yeah, 2026 is going to be even more of a year for us. And I'm ready to see what it holds.
Yeah, I love it's not very frequent that I think about it. Just kind of in retrospect, like where we were at pretty much this time a year ago. Um, all we had was a Discord, no real platform built out yet. I think we were like starting to look into WAP for the first time.
Yeah.
The product we were trying to market and sell was completely, not completely, but pretty much completely different than what we sell today, than what we offer today, I guess I should say. And clipping and all like broader or bigger impact stuff, like how do you actually develop a website. It used to be you had to pay somebody to do that. Now you can just use AI to help you with that. And then how do you get your project, no matter how good of an idea it is, like in front of a bunch of people, because otherwise it's worthless.
Yeah.
So there's a ton of lessons we've learned, I think. And I think that especially when you work with a team like Caleb and I and Alvin do and the moderators, it's I think it's going to be exponential growth. We see it already has been exponential, in my opinion, with all the work we've been putting in. So it's fun for me to like look back in retrospect, and in times, especially when I feel like it's slow or like I just kind of hitting a roadblock in the path forward, to think of how we solved problem in the past, what we've learned so far, and that's yeah, it's a big reflection point for me coming into the end of this year and like feeling like a proper professional instead of kind of faking the image like I was trying to, as I was figuring stuff out last year.
And even if it was like fake, I think for a minute, that's still more real than what we learned in our, I'm not trying to diss our major or anything, but like in our business management degree and stuff like that, it's, a lot of it was still just theoretical or like working out hypothetical problems. We weren't actually in the field starting businesses. I mean, obviously it's not college's fault. They're not just going to give you money to start companies, right? But that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to give you guys the real world experience that college didn't give us. Of we're going to throw money at you. We're going to give you guys education. We're going to give you guys business partners to find and connect with. And that is the true education. And I mean, between us, yeah, we went from Discord to WAP to back to Discord. Now we have a Telegram. Now we have the website. We've been all over the place. And guys, you kind of have to go through that. 2026 though, now we've kind of tested everything. We actually are using WAP again. Anthony, you want to shout out the link tree and the clipping and stuff?
Yeah, I'm kind of like responding to people as we talk right now, actually. But there's a you said the link tree or the WAP?
I guess both. Like we got a new system set up for the link tree to manage everything. It's kind of our main links. I think it's just linktree.com/ is it Altura Society?
Yeah, let me double check real quick too. It is.
So just go on my Instagram, guys, if you're watching this, or I'll try to update it on my YouTube too. And then actually I'm going to do that right now on my YouTube because I know Instagram's good. But the content clipping is kind of the other big way to get involved with it too.
We actually got rid of the WAP. WAP only started, it's kind of just rebranded for Altura's purposes. So there's still a ton of members in there that are active all the time, engaging in the chat we have, engaging with the content clipping campaign. But basically, we're using WAP now as like part of our marketing efforts, just to get people, get eyes and stuff on what it is we're doing. And the main use for that is through content clipping. And so we have an active campaign that's paying probably like 3 times the average for every other WAP campaign I've seen on WAP. We're paying like $3 per 1,000 views you get on any video you make about those operations, any kind of like othering content where it's like what happens after investing in alt, or my life, how my life changed after becoming a holder of the NFT, or working with the network, things like that. And we've had quite a few submissions, actually. We had like 6 just today, which we out the water. A little that's kind of funny. My deliverable was 4 this week, but anyways, yeah, we've had like 6 submissions so far just today. We've had quite a few before that as well for the same campaign, but people are just making videos as simple as of like successful entrepreneurs or whatever. And even like people like actually working and sharing that is counting towards that as well, which is cool to see, like people from the community as they're doing work, just simple as recording what they do anyway, posting it, getting views that way as a way to promote Altura Society, promote alt. And yeah, we're paying people to do that. It's not quite free money, but it's about as close as you can get, if you ask me. It's literally just getting paid based on how many people watch something that took you, 10, 15 minutes to create, if you're good at it. So yeah, go check it out at wap.com. Just either one of those. In all of our communities as well. Like I'm pretty sure the links in the link tree has it as well. So that link is posted pretty much everywhere if you guys are interested in just taking the direct route. But link tr.ee/Altura Society will take you to the link tree that has all of our socials, all of our website stuff, the content clippings on there as well.
Yeah. If you guys go to, yeah, it's right here. You can just scroll down to, should say make money content clipping. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's the bottom link. Just click on that. It'll take you right into, and it should be on my YouTube. It should be on my Instagram and stuff. You can just look me up. Caleb Schulke, my name. But yeah, we'll stop kind of shilling here. But I will say, everything I think about here in terms of moving us forward is about how we can give the community more benefit, because I've done a lot of studying on like profitable companies and how they've became profitable, and most of the time, right, if you look at like Steve Jobs, he was really focused on the user experience and how to give users better value for the same amount of money. The amount of money an iPhone can generate you, like if you're actually using it for your business versus how much it costs, even though it's still high, is a massive rate of return if that's where you host your business and do your stuff, right? So the functionality and smoothness of it, delivering a good user experience with the product is always going to be better than trying to just do the bare minimum. And that's what we're trying to do, right? A lot of this time has been unprofitable for us. We haven't made really any money, except for the NFT. Some of the NFTs we've sold that just got put right back into development and stuff. But that was our initial, hard trial of starting to push the boulder, up the hill. And now we have momentum going. We just got to continue that. Let's talk about the real reason though that I think Altura stands out from other products, or why this is such a big deal for people. Everyone's like listening to us. So like there's a lot of cool things there, but why should I necessarily care? And I want to talk about kind of where we're at. And I think the big reason that I personally would care and why I decide to, I'm deciding to continue pushing this forward as strong as I am, and why I believe in it so much. But again, yeah, first the holidays are slow. Our Telegram chat is a little bit quieter than usual, but that's just surface level stuff. It's just time based. Altura is accelerating, right? We have quite a few hundred, emails collected, signups for the platform, tools like Nova AI that we're developing, and the Vision dashboard to kind of deliver real wins daily. Basically, like an AI executive assistant and calendar that you would have to pay thousands of dollars for the equivalent of a person doing that, right? But this gives the freedom and the power for an average person that's actually working a job and needs the help managing their business, right, and managing their plan to actually execute the same level of efficiency without having to fight every battle uphill at the beginning. They get a cheap executive assistant and they can perform at the level of a pro entrepreneur from day one. And again, we have people online already that we're going to be delivering the live chat functionality soon. You guys can start building your collabs and working on companies together. We're not dying down right now. We're not building the private, kind of alternative to the old Silicon Valley. We're changing things up a little bit. We are delivering an experience that is exclusive, right? Because NFTs that you can hold as a lifetime membership are capped at just under 9,000, because we want the value of that membership to increase as the platform increases, right? You can still pay month to month for a membership, but you're not getting the same level of quality and the invites to the meetups and trainings and things like that you're going to get on the inside by having that membership. And again, $80. If you look at Bored Apes that sell for $30,000 now, it's basically a no-brainer to try to buy multiple, passports right now into the space. Privacy first, too, is our big focus. Tonight, I want to talk about like a crisis that young founders especially face. I want to prove our traction, and I want to contrast kind of fizzling tools that are out there and AI stuff, especially this bubble that fucking is going to pop anytime. I feel like it's crazy with our ongoing utility, and especially why owning our currency and our NFTs is basically the only good play. So with all the kind of noise on social media that you've seen, on Instagram or Reels, shorts, whatever it is, from Gen Z, even on X too, right? About people feeling like crushed by surveillance and that their privacy is being taken away more and more, and that there's economic pressure, right? What do you think is the biggest thing that sticks out to you as like a kind of a central point of the challenge that young people are going to have to worry about as we move into the future, especially with like AI and data and all this stuff?
Yeah, I think it's going to be something similar to what the UK is already implementing, which is your digital ID. And AI, as the way that ties in, is like AI is what kind of runs that or drives it, makes it even more efficient, or some would call it malicious, really. For ways, it kind of just increases the power companies already have um, to know enough about you to make it so that every time you pick up your phone, it's like you're being marketed to. Um, through ad spend in social media, through internet ads, whatever it may be. But I think the real danger behind that is like, at what point does like the things that you own you? You know what I mean? Like, I think that's already the case. Like today, even without the fact that that's a lot of this stuff is still in development and hasn't been implemented in the United States. I think the biggest challenge is going to be like drawing the line between where are we willing to stop giving up our privacy for said security or said convenience. And it's going to take a lot of changes that, frankly, like people my age probably aren't willing to deal with or ready to deal with yet because we've been kind of raised on technologies. So, like people probably can't even fathom like not using a smartphone every day or just not even having a phone or social media at all. But it might come down to the fact that that's kind of your only option if you really want true privacy and security. So I won't delve into like solutions, but I think that's probably one of the scariest things that I think about frequently, with just the way the world's moving. And they're going to they kind of already are using the statistics for like crime or like bad things that happen as a result of social media as the justification to then remove all security measures you have or privacy measures you have to stay an individual. You know what I mean? And if you can't see that, I don't really know what to tell you because it's not about the safety. It's genuinely about how much money they make by knowing more about you. I don't know how else you would figure they can afford a couple $1 billion in random oil and cow field cities like mine where they're putting new data centers every month.
Yeah.
That just doesn't happen if it was free. You know what I mean? So that's what I got to say about that. I'm not sure. That's kind of a little bit of a yap session, I guess. I don't know if I answered the question well.
I think Gen Z is in particular kind of leading this and is kind of going to have to lead this, right? Because boomers, right? Most of them aren't necessarily as plugged in as we are, so they're not necessarily signing up for as many apps and doing things. So to them, it's like, I have my bank account login and I have my Pandora radio and that's it, and I don't really need to worry about too much getting out there. Although, our generation, right, we're applying for credit cards online, we're signing up for YouTube, we're giving away all these things. December 16th, guys, today's the day. If you're not tracking, Facebook and Meta just put out this update today. They made it really, really difficult for you to opt out of. But today, your data just got uploaded into their AI for training purposes, which includes every single DM you've ever sent on Facebook or Instagram. They have all your chat history and they're training their AI models on it. And again, if you didn't opt out before today, you are now training data for the biggest company, using social media and data like that. So you're constantly having collection happen, and most of the time we can't even like track it, right? And that's the other part of the issue is we have so much else going on in our generation, unprecedented financial strain, social issues, right? You could say even like climate change, right? Wars happening, things like that are just driving our generation into different types of action. And our heads got like 30 tabs open. And to care about all these different issues, right, is really hard when you already have, for most people, such an already stressful life in so many individual ways, right? Just trying to keep the bills paid and keep the lights on and things like that is when the average life gets harder, people stop caring about the bigger issues more, and it gets really easy to exploit people in these times. So over 50% of our generation and Gen Z are anxious about online privacy, which is up sharply from a year ago. 42% are actively restricting and tracking and deleting data. So our generation is starting to make a change, and they're done with big tech stealing the edge. This is, again, something most people don't think about. And again, the military kind of focuses on it too, but not too much, is mental health, right? This is taking a massive toll, especially on, I would say men in particular, but 61% of Gen Z. So you have a 3 out of 5 chance right now of being diagnosed with anxiety, the bare minimum. 42% of our generation is diagnosed with depression. So 2 out of 5 people, almost half. Double older generations in most polls, right? And 1 in 3 report persistent low moods. Social media comparison, right? Comparing yourself to people that are making it, having the Lamborghinis constantly, and the surveillance that you feel like you big brother's watching and that you're anxious all the time is fueling this. And there's nothing you can really do about it, right? Because the only sort of entertainment you have is to go scroll Instagram reels, right? Unless you're building something or escaping that. And so the only form of pleasure is just kind of subtly also declining your baseline, right? And making you feel worse and worse, kind of like any addiction. And I don't know if you want to talk or comment on that fact too, with the comparison economy and how bad that's been recently, for young entrepreneurs, especially.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like just every field or every niche or every interest is kind of getting exploited by this as well. It's like it's kind of just started, I think, I would say, with models. I know that even like in magazines back when, there wasn't smartphones to scroll on, that was probably the biggest push. And it would cause like a lot of women in particular to have eating disorders because they would see these like photoshopped, it wasn't even real, but like stick figure models that were being pushed as like the standard for women's beauty, and that was a real issue back in the day. And I think it's kind of just been exploited to target everybody now instead of just women, because I think it has a. I know for a fact everything has to do with like money. It's like what do they have to gain from making you feel like you need to change or be like
Yep.
drastically? Is that they can sell that information to a company that then will sell you the solution, which is not really the solution. It's just the product they make, right? But
And these quick fixes
it's
too often become the like easy way to milk money out of you. People want the easy answer, right? So they'll
yeah,
sell shitty beauty products, right? Ozempic is a massive one. There's actually 1,800 people now in a corporate class action lawsuit against Ozempic for $1 billion because they've rushed the drug out, and then 1,800 people have gone blind from taking Ozempic. It's a massive side effect that's starting to come out. So if you know anybody on Ozempic, warn them that continuation of the drug could cause potential blindness, right? And there's this lawsuit going on because people want to, take these quick actions because of the comparison economy of feeling like, your life's gone to shit and you got to do something quick. And you get on that quick train of dopamine and you need something to happen now. And it kills a lot of people, literally and, figuratively.
yeah, mentally, spiritually. I mean, any pillar of human existence, really. Um, yeah, it's bad, man. It's like I said, it started with fitness and it's still continuing with fitness. And now, like, if you're a man and you're not benching 405 and you don't have an 8 pack and whatever, you're behind. But like you mentioned the entrepreneur one, like, obviously that's applicable to what we're talking about tonight because of what we do. But even I feel like I think so often about how like, and I genuinely feel like this probably because I'm comparing so much that at 23 years old, I'm like behind because I haven't, made my first 100,000 or million. And I'm like, dude, if this doesn't happen by 25, like, what am I going to do? Like if you named like any millionaires that are in your circle or that you can think of, like chances are they're not younger than like 30 because it takes time traditionally. And I'm not saying that you can't do it sooner, and a lot of people do, but that's part of the problem is like the people that do are incentivized to post their stuff so that they can then boost sales for their own, shitty course or whatever content they make. And that's part of the problem is it's like they don't even really think about the repercussions of, what it's doing to people's psyches and personas. It's like all that these people are thinking is I need to cash in, and this is part of how I market what I do. So they're going to continue doing it, and it's not going to stop.
What do you think is a good question or like kind of a statement maybe to challenge that when you see something that you think is fake or that you kind of know is fake, right? To kind of reset your frame about it, to say, what, maybe I'm not actually as behind as it feels. What do you think would trigger that? What's a sentence you could say to yourself to get out of that headspace when you feel it coming?
A sentence, you probably could just, I don't know, as cliche as it might sound, you could like just tell yourself to think about the progress you've made so far. Actually, I don't even think so though, because then you might just kind of spiral you into like that it's still not enough. So I don't really know what the right perspective to take on that afterwards is. Maybe like the best thing would just be to like separate yourself from the situation. Maybe something you could tell yourself is like, maybe not. I don't know. I don't really. I function more on like doing things than I would like speaking. So maybe for me, it'd be more like forcing myself to take a minute just to go outside, or like that exercise to like reground yourself, where it's like name 5 things in your head that you can see,
Yeah.
and then it's like 4 things you can hear.
Mindfulness. Yeah. Like
Yeah,
presence,
yeah,
practicing
that's what I'm trying
meditation.
to get at. It's like maybe there's something you could say that works for you or do that would just help you with like being present in the moment instead of always living in the what you haven't accomplished. Because that's
The
also
more
like
you seek external, it's a sign that you have less internally driving you, so you need more externally. So maybe just flip it and go back to what do I have inside me and what can I give to make my situation better, without looking outside of where I am.
yeah, big proponent of the Stoic philosophy, which has a lot to do with that, right? Which is that which you can't control shouldn't like hinder you at all, or like shouldn't be any concern really, because all that's doing is like, especially if you can't do anything about it, then you're just thinking about it, and you're just gonna wallow in self pity, and you know it's a bad habit to get into, and it's one I still struggle with daily as well, specifically in like the realm of entrepreneurship.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like again the standard is slipping so fast too, and we can kind of transition after this point, but like the standard is slipping. So even compared to 5 years ago, the average age, that you could move out of your house and actually survive is kind of getting, harder. It's getting up, right? Because more people are moving back home. I think 8 to 11% was what I have written down for the youth unemployment increase just this year. So now 10% more people are now unemployed than last year. There's a crazy bad economy that we've been driven into here. And a lot of people, right? X is full of young builders that are saying they don't have a safety net, right? They're in dry months, hype, without outcomes. They're trying to promote things, but nobody has the time to give a shit about it. Especially, right? We're seeing that with Altura. We have a great vision, we have a good setup, but it's hard to get people to care when they have so much else to care about. And we feel like we're falling behind, and I felt that a lot of times too, just because we're not where people were doing the same thing 5 years ago. Because in that case, that was a lot easier market to survive in. Now, right? Most people don't factor in the fact that life is a lot harder nowadays. We assume it's easier, but in this current day and age, I'd say it's much more difficult to get off the ground. So you gotta humble your ego and say it is just going to be difficult. You got to persevere. Probably in a couple of years, right, we'll turn it around a bit and we'll be in a better spot. But if you're just surviving, you're already doing great, whoever's listening to this. And you got to not take it out on yourself. I would say my initial answer was I would like to say, right, to tell yourself, oh, it's fake. That's rented, right? When you see a Lamborghini or something like that, and just to dismiss people. But I've also heard the mindset of, if you dismiss people and what they've had, there's actually people out there that are driving Lamborghinis at 19 because they've actually earned it. And so when you think it's just not possible at all, that kind of discourages you from going out and trying to get it. So you should still try to get it, and you shouldn't diss people that have it. You shouldn't be in the comment section hating on them, but you should say, right, it's the fig tree story, right? Second, I try to grab one fig, another fig's going to drop and I'm going to miss it. And if I'm eventually going to be trying to chase all the figs as they're falling from the tree, I'm not going to end up with any because I didn't focus on my path. I'm focused on too many different trends on social media and the next e-commerce or drop shipping or whatever it's going to be to get started. You need to stay with where you're at and just understand it's going to take time. Most of the time, right? I'd say it's about 7 years. If you don't put 7 years into something you truly care about, you're probably not going to actually make it to where you want to be. We're already about 2 years in, right? And we've already seen significant traction. It feels like we've gone a million different paths, right? But at the end of the day, we're still kind of on the original course of inspiring young people to make change in their life. And it's been about 2 years, but I'd say by 7 years, we will have made it because regardless, right, we put the time in. We didn't start when we were 13, but we started now, and that's better than somebody who started at 30. So start with where you're at in your journey, be grateful for it, and do not change your path. Be understanding that it is going to take time. That's my word of advice on that before I think we transition. But
Yeah, I love that.
yeah. So there's a lot of tips I could give you guys to audit yourself, right? Like look at all your subscriptions, see exactly what these companies are collecting on you. And just to get back into the surveillance side, again, every single tool you're using, especially AI nowadays, is not only tracking what you're putting into it, but it's also building a profile behind the scenes. I can almost guarantee this, especially like ChatGPT, right? All these tools. They are building a digital playing card, kind of like a baseball card of you as a file. They can look up and they can see what your interests are, the things you fear, what you care about, what your pros are, what your cons are, how to target you with ads on social media based on what you're telling it, what your personality is. And they're selling it to the highest bidder a lot of times. I'm not telling you a specific company, right? I'm not saying ChatGPT explicitly is doing that, but a lot of companies are doing it this way. You don't see that, but you are the product. So that's why a lot of these are free to try or to use because they're making money off you. And I will say it doesn't feel like that matters right now, but in 5 years, you're going to be spammed with ads that are very specific and trying to get you to spend your money. And you're going to be being reached out to by AI, AI marketing tools, right? Phone calls, emails all the time because companies are selling your data to the highest bidder and they're going to want your information. And again, all we have in our life to identify ourselves and to be free right now, especially with the surveillance economy, is our information. You got to hold on to it. You got to, especially like most of us don't, I wouldn't even say have a secure social security number nowadays. You got to keep what you have. And just look at what you have, right? Because 2026, especially 2027, is going to get a lot harder and harder to do that. Founders keep kind of complaining about the tools they have and the resources that are out there. And I see a lot of shit about even the big celebrities that are, I think, truly doing a decent job. I think Andrew Tate, he gets a lot of crap, but I think he has a good platform that genuinely gets people off the ground and at least gives them a plan, right? A lot of them don't even have a plan of attack. I do think there's some holes in it, and that's what we seek to address with Altura. But if people are unsure that they can actually get the resources and support online, how do you think what we've developed challenges that or delivers real sustained value? You give your answer, I'll give mine. I think we're going to have different answers, though.
Yeah, I agree. We usually do. Well, I think you could look at it a couple ways. You could look at it in terms of like the actual tactical utility, like the things that we built you can actually use and how they differ. Just to hit on a couple, like your Nova, for example, our native AI tools, like as opposed to just going and typing in ChatGPT, build me a business plan, don't make any mistakes, and building off that. Nova is like, the way that differs is that instead of you just having to like sit there and like try and get AI to tell you something that you can kind of work with and use, it's like just by talking to Nova, it actually learns enough about yourself and your business model in particular to start recommending tasks, and recommending like strategic areas for vision that you should be focusing on that make the most sense in today's day and age. And then we'll like schedule them in the calendar function we have as well for you to start doing them. So you don't even have to worry about like task management, how to come up with those tasks and like what to do. Nova solves that problem for you.
Yeah, we're not selling that data we're collecting from you at the same time.
Yeah, that's where I was going to lead my second point is like, so that's like one example of an actual piece of utility that you guys can go use today, tonight, right now, as you're watching the stream if you really wanted. But then also the difference between typing something in chat and typing something in Nova is that Nova doesn't go to your nearest local data center. Like the information put into Nova it stays local to us. And when I say us, it's like I don't even really know where we would go to find that information. I've never seen it. I don't care to. It's ran by us though. Well, the community itself is ran by its members, right?
There's also, by the way, I'm gonna add. There's something set up called an encryption key that is a like. Right now I have like a 40 character string that I have to put in that unlocks, the encryption of the data. So whenever like it might get routed to an external platform, which again isn't connected to like the parent ChatGPT or Grok, right? They're not getting your data because it's hosted through something else and it's not linked to your particular name, but that data is getting encrypted on both ends. So when it gets sent and when it comes back in, it's basically like kind of deciphered in the messaging and then it's encoded, right? So it's secure from anybody else accessing it or hacking into it, right? And also, again, we're not partnering with companies to sell it. So that's kind of how that works.
Yeah, that's just what I was about to hit on is that there's utility that makes us different because nobody's doing what we've done. as far as like how to utilize an AI for your business, because I think it just comes down to like the difference between like our competitors and like what we do is that they're in it for like the maximum profitability. Like how can I just make sure that I have to pay the least for the utility they're getting out of this for them to, still get enough to want to pay me my insane price. Whereas we're like the community only does as good as its best as its worst, really. Members. Like it's the community is better off when our members are doing better off. Every dollar earned from somebody joining goes back into the development of the community to give you guys more tools, more resources. Every person that successfully gets funded by Altura, then everyone who's a member now gets access to whatever that person does that got funded, right? So it's a game of like we're trying to make it so that each of us all succeed in succession together. And so if that's the rhetoric, if that's the goal, like inherently that means that our approach is not to maximize profitability. Our approach is to maximize the utility behind being a member.
Yep.
Because that's
ideally they're related too, right? Because again, you can't really, people are gonna naturally flow to you if you're just better all around. So that is the goal. We do want to make money, right? And again, give value back. We're gonna spend the money on you guys and setting up events and stuff. But yeah, you do one, you get the other, and vice versa.
Yeah, I think that it's just like a different like approach. Like it's not like, hey, I have this cool thing, but how can I guard it so that people have to pay me more to get the most out of it? It's like, hey, I have this thing that can really help entrepreneurs. Let's make it as good as possible so that they can start succeeding, and then in turn the community succeeds and makes more money altogether.
That's how ChatGPT kind of grew too, right? They focused on utility. I don't think they charged really anybody initially, right? And then they rolled out the memberships. There's like a solid 6 months or so where it was just free to use, so they got signups, right? Now Grok's lowering their prices to compete and stuff like this, and they're kind of in a war against each other. We decided, right, we could enter that war. We could spend millions of dollars trying to develop our own model, in particular a language model, and train it and all that stuff. I don't think that's worth it. I'm gonna tell you why. Because we can deliver more for the same $20 that you would spend on ChatGPT than just the AI. Because I do believe there's more to getting focus and running a business than just the AI. Membership means ongoing, like evolving utility. You get a live real-time chat with people, buzzing collabs, right? It's better than the cringe LinkedIn DMs where it's like, hey bro, like I like your post. I'm trying to reach out on behalf of X corporations. Like, I can't work with this person. They're like clearly trying to, market to me or something. They don't actually want to build something together. You get Nova AI Executive Assistant, which is your personalized strategy, and it's not tracking. So what we do actually is we use models that are like out right now, right? So specifically we use like llamas, which aren't the animals. They're a language model that allow you to, it's basically ChatGPT, right? But in this case, we're using kind of a step or two back. So it's pretty much just as powerful, but it's not the live one connected to the internet. So that way we can go back and say, let's audit this, make sure it's actually not, basically misleading you or doing something it shouldn't be. And then let's download it basically in our own kind of space. And then you guys get access to that where you're not giving the data off to train whoever it might be, the government, a corporation, a bad CEO about your goals, and then they can exploit that against you. That is what you're paying $20 for, because you can get great utility out of having internet connection and all that. I would still encourage you guys. I like Grok a lot. Use Grok. It's only like, a couple bucks a month, right? 10, 15 bucks at the max. But ask our AI your actual important data, the sensitive stuff, right? What are you going to do for your business? What are your major goals in life? What relationship stuff, friendship stuff are you dealing with? Keep that away from companies and big tools that you're worried about exploiting you. And then ask Grok, right? Where are 3 places I could go eat tonight, right? The general questions that you would want for the internet connection. You don't even have to pay for it. I think there's a free model that does stuff like that too. But I would recommend you use ours, knowing that when this all pops, right? When this all collapses, and then, AIs start collecting and utilizing and proactively targeting people that have given it their data, which is you right now, most likely using whatever model you're using. You don't want to be in the crowd that gets really messed up by, again, targeted ads, campaigns against you, even policies, right? They could, political parties and things like that could use that against you. You don't know. So in the cases where you don't know, I'm better off taking the safe route, which is maybe not, again, like I said before, having it predict what kind of macaroni and cheese I'm going to eat on January 22nd next year, but maybe just having it say, hey, it can still help me develop a business plan. And that's the stuff we train it for, which is actually important. And then again, we throw in all the other benefits, like I just mentioned, and we're developing, you can talk about this too, Anthony, here is the business funding stuff, and then the TED style kind of university with videos that we're developing for inspiration. We got a financial management hub we're going to work on as we get more members in and we get some revenue up. And then obviously the most important thing is whether you hold the Altura token or the currency, you can set that to vote on key decisions, and then we're going to bring up decisions we want you guys to help us make to that protect your data and guide the vision. And you guys can actually help us with your kind of portion of involvement from the tokens or whatever. What do you want? And we'll try to execute that to the best of our ability. Over to you.
Okay. Yeah, I guess you just want me to talk about the like the purpose behind, or like what we're coming up with for the TED style kind of inspirational stuff, or what?
Yeah, so
I didn't really understand what the question was.
yeah, so like with a lot of young founders, especially, I'm trying to relate to like the 20-year-old, because I feel like that was the version of me that would need something like this the most. So like the 20-year-old, right? Maybe you're in college, you don't feel like it's leading anywhere, you're worried about the debt, you don't know what kind of economy you're going to get into, you feel like you got to make something happen. If you're feeling isolated or you're worried and you feel like you need to get some sort of side hustle or skill, right? You could go out and you could watch an Iman Gadji video and you could buy him his next Porsche in his garage by taking one of his, Netflix style master classes. I did that. I paid for his course, and I can personally say it was good. It was developed and edited well. It was produced well, but it didn't change things for me. All I did was watch a video. I got a PDF, and then it's basically like, good luck. The next steps are really up to you. And in this case, we're still educating you guys the same way and helping solve a lot of key decisions with the academy. But then Nova AI is going to actually ask you questions relevant to your situation, which is like Iman sitting down with you and saying, hey, where are you at right now? How can I help you? And again, I've coached people, guys. This is my type of like process that I would walk you through that we've put into an AI that can help you guys get the next steps down. Because for me, doesn't matter if I have the full 10-year plan about how to run an e-commerce, what do you call it? Like a e-commerce empire, right? Or syndicate empire of e-commerce, and drop shipping on Amazon. I just care that I can get from now, 2 weeks from now, where I'm making money. And then from there, we just keep building the next 2 weeks. It's good to have the vision in mind, but that's not everything. And although they can explain like how the business develops, that's not going to help you take the first steps and actually get the results. You need to do that with people that can talk to you in real time. And that's what we're delivering. And that's why it's worth the money. But go ahead. Yeah. Let's talk about the academy in particular and how we decided to set up the structure we did and what that's going to look like as we roll it out, probably around like March to April of next year.
Yeah, absolutely. So the academy originally, I'll kind of give you a little bit of backstory. Originally was going to be like something similar to, not a ripoff of, but like something similar to what the Real World does with Andrew Tate or Educate or any of those, where it's like, well, they teach you a specific business model and it's really linear. It's like a ladder progression where it's like not much room for deviation. This is how traditionally, freelancing works. Here's a step-by-step tutorial about how to post your first freelance gig. But then we kind of figured like with so much of that was just like hustle culture around, it's really not indicative of like the actual audience of entrepreneurs that are in our community or that we really want to join.
Yeah.
People that are just trying to make a quick buck like in a month and become a millionaire. And those people generally, I don't think are like actually in entrepreneurship to like be an entrepreneur and to work and succeed and actually add value to the world. Like I think they're just in it because they think it's a quick way to make money and it's like a tradition. It's the fad for today. It's how they're gonna, fit in and with the comparison culture. And so our way around that is actually instead of targeting those kind of people and if that's you, like that's, to each their own, right? And I hope you're successful either way. But we figured like as entrepreneurs ourselves and having gone through courses similar from like our college curriculum and just things we had to do for the organization that we're a part of. It's we felt that it would be probably a better value added to the community, to members, and for anybody in the future that joins, to instead of that linear progression on a specific business model, be taught skills to be obtained that are applicable to entrepreneurship as a whole. So we're talking like, what does it look like when you get placed in a leadership position and you've never had to lead a team of people before? Because it's really not as simple. That's the problem with most organizations today. It's like really every organization is people just think that leadership is as simple as barking commands or like snapping your fingers and things happen. But if you actually want maximum efficiency, value driven, and like cohesion in the team, there's so much more that goes into being a proper leader than what you would initially think if you've never been in a leadership position before. And so things like leadership, things like negotiation, right? Most people don't know the difference between, like a proper negotiation where, all potential outcomes are kind of surfaced, as opposed to just positional bargaining where it's like, I want this, let's meet in the middle. Most people approach negotiation that way. But you see how like there's so many other things about being a proper entrepreneur, being a successful entrepreneur, someone that's not just gonna flip a quick buck doing some generic business model, someone that's like actually here to add value to the world and to grow in that way, both financially and mentally, and however else entrepreneurship helps you grow. There's so many more things we think that would be helpful for that person to teach and to help expound upon your current skill set than just linear progression, business models. So it's going to be focused more on that. And then the way we're executing that is it's going to be similar to what like TED does with TED Talks, where these people aren't famous. They're not people that you would recognize off the street, but they're credible and they're qualified to come talk about these things that, these concepts that for us it'd be entrepreneurs, but like they talk about just like people in general should be more familiar with, from all topics down to like food science to political issues to just psychology, things like that. Ours would be a lot more narrow in scope, right? Because we want it to pertain to entrepreneurship as a whole. But it's
why do we pick that style though?
Because we're not interested in it comes down to like the style of content we talked about before is very transactional. We're targeting the opposite of that, which is transformational. We want people to, as a member of our community, transform themselves from an entrepreneur that's seeing some success, but into not necessarily by means of their business model, but by means of them and their skill set, to transform themselves into a better version of what they currently are or were in the past, where they understand how to interact with people, how to lead, how to speak, how to do anything that an entrepreneur should know how to do that's actually successful in this world. And it's like you can probably think of like people you've maybe seen online or like people that are entrepreneurs and are successful, and like they kind of just they all have this way about them in common, where it's like how they carry themselves, how they interact with others is very like efficient. It's very apparent that like they have a skill set that not many people have, or that like personally, like I'm very good at this point, like spotting that, and I'm naturally attracted to people who hold that kind of mentality and way of keeping themselves, way of how they carry themselves, I should say. And that's kind of what we're trying to instill in young entrepreneurs like ourselves that don't know the answers, aren't to that level where they've been that person for so long that it's just their nature. How do we get people to start understanding those kind of concepts to a point where they can implement them in their daily lives as entrepreneurs, in their teams, in their family units, and whatever it is that, is holding up the structure of their business model, and help them see success that way, instead of just, one linear progression. Here's how you do this menial task a million times over, and, you might make a few dollars doing it.
So instead of those like quick cash blueprints, like what is it about who we're targeting that made us decide to go this way?
It's just a difference, I think, in, once again, like what's in it for them. We talk initially about, or earlier in this podcast, we talked about why it is like what our core value has been so from the beginning, which is that the actual product might have changed and NFTs weren't in the picture way back when, and now we use them as our lifetime membership access token. But centrally, like the goal of what was Ascend is now Altura, operating under Ascend. Could get into the weeds there, but the goal overall is still to figure out how we add value to people's lives. In the beginning, it was just men in general that were suffering from all the things we talked about in this podcast: comparison culture, poor economy, things like that. And it's more like tailored entrepreneurs now, but the goal is still the same, which is that we fall into that category ourselves. We're young men, we're young entrepreneurs. We want to succeed too. So like, why not try and build something with a group of people that think the same way we do, where we all kind of benefit from our network or from our community of like-minded entrepreneurs, people that don't know all the answers, but together can figure them out as we all work in our separate niches together. That's what we're targeting. We're not targeting the person that's, they see somebody do a money spread up on their Instagram and they're like, yo, I got to figure out how to get like that, right? Because that fades super quick. You see that, you just turn your phone off, you go to clock in at McDonald's, and it's like, where does the drive really come from? Like, is it because you actually want to like provide for a family one day and like succeed in this world and like add value as a high value man and like somebody that's doing something for society, uplifting others, building things, everything that men in particular have been doing for centuries since the dawn of time, right? It's kind of how we got to this point where we developed something that's smarter than us in AI now. People that want to continue that progression instead of just make enough to where they're satisfied and it's about the money more than it is the value added, and don't get us wrong. Like, the money is obviously part of the equation, a large part of the equation, but it's like, if you had all the money in the world, like let's say you just got overnight, somehow you're super successful in freelancing. It's like, what would you do with it? Like, you just going to go buy cars and flex on, other 16-year-olds now? Cause you're 18. So, you should be able to do it younger than me, cause I was able to do it. It's like, what do you gain from that, really? Whereas in a community of people that actually want to build value in this world, it's a little bit different of an audience.
Well, you gave me a lot there. There's a lot of great points there. I think the one that I'm just gonna double down on is we looked at when we were planning out the academy, kind of the backbone of it. I was thinking about the type of person, we're trying to target, like he was kind of saying. And, in this we drew out this kind of circle that was entrepreneurs, kind of like a niching down is what they call this, right, in business. So our major niche is entrepreneurship. That's the type of people that we're trying to target. And then there's different kind of sides of within the circle, right? Kind of on one side, you got like the fast cash, trying to make a quick buck. But those people often burn out very quickly, or the business models evolve too fast. So by the time you get in, you're getting outdated information. And for us, we're trying to build things in the long term and have legacy content. So we can't just target, how to build a drop shipping store, today. That's maybe something we could look at down the line as we get more educators and we want to do quick, mini courses. But the people we're trying to target aren't people trying to, make $1,000 within a week. They're people that are trying to become the type of people that can go into any business that is drop shipping or that is, Amazon FBA or that is stock trading and still find the same success, because you're developing yourself and not the business. So on the other side of that entrepreneurship circle, not even touching the other people, right, are people that are doing the 5 a.m. wake ups. They're watching self-improvement videos. They're going to the gym. They're becoming a better version of themselves. And now, sure, there might be some overlap because they're both trying to improve their situation. But for the most part, the people that are obsessed with fast cash usually want to get out of a situation, or they care about their ego. Those are the two things driving them most of the time. People that are obsessed with optimization and self-improvement care about growth, right? And they care about improving. And that's who we want to focus. But a lot of times, right, people that are on the self-improvement journey, that wake up at 5 a.m., that want to make their life better, that want to have good plans and clear focus, they don't want to sit down for 6 weeks and watch a masterclass. So we're formatting in a way where purposely you can watch it in the background. where you're still getting value and you're still learning something, but you can also be in the brain dump feature. You can be on Novo, right? Talking and doing things while you're learning. So it's not just like you have to sit down like a Netflix show and watch it and kind of feel like you're not getting anything else done at the same time. We don't want it to be this massive experience like a movie theater like Iman does. He does that well and it sells well because it's cinematic, but it doesn't deliver results. And again, what we said at the beginning of this podcast is we care about utility first because the money's going to catch up as soon as that proves successful. That's all I'm going to say. I know you had a lot of other great points, but that's really the only thing I wanted to point out explicitly is that that's the type of people we're looking for. We're not going to give you guys a 15-minute formula to make your drop shipping store. That's going to come maybe later. You can vote on that as an option to add. But right now it's going to be what does it look like in 10 minutes or less to look at a business model and then go on a whiteboard and draw out how money comes in, how I reinvested in the company, and how this kind of flow chart works in a industry that you can apply it to yourself. It's a universal formula. So it might be something I'll teach, right, with a whiteboard in the background. It's not going to be pretty. It's just going to be like a TED talk, but it is going to be informative and guiding, so you guys don't have to spend all day doing it. To me, I care about that. I'm sure Anthony does. We're trying to get in the gym and within an hour and a half, be the hell out of there. We're not trying to, flex in the mirror and take a bunch of pictures and do all that stuff. We're trying to get stuff done. And I think you guys are too. And we're tired of kind of wasting time nowadays. The crisis is real too that we've seen, around this thing. And all the way back to the beginning, right, to kind of wrap up as we're approaching the hour is the comparison economy. People trying to make fast money because they feel like their ego needs to have something to compare to others. Or they have to have something to show for themselves. They're 19 years old. They should already have $5 million in the bank. What's wrong with them? They have to get something fast. The more you give into that, the further you're actually setting yourself apart on the fig tree from grabbing the fig that's actually going to provide you money. And that fig isn't going to come for about 7 years. You have to dedicate yourself for years to actually get where you want to be. But you should have the same vision, right? Anthony, it doesn't matter if you and I use WAP or Discord or our website. As long as we're still focused on the same thing, we're not really going off track. We're just using a different means to the end to get there. And that is what is important. You guys need to develop into the person that has a vision and a focus. And then it doesn't matter what business you start to get there. We'll help you start 10 if you want. But most importantly, it's got to align with you being the person that you want to be. And I know that's cringy, but I can guarantee you're not going to make money trying to start a drop shipping store next week. Probably 1 out of 500 people will do that. And it's probably not going to be you if we're being honest. So pick the hard route, develop yourself, and create real traction. Vision, talk to people in our community. We're accelerating. It doesn't feel like it yet. The holiday season is slow, but that's my final point. And the last thing I'll say is people are slowing down. They're hanging out with family. We are a private network. We're supposed to be small. We're supposed to be elite, and we're supposed to talk to each other. And while others are taking the time off, link your wallet, buy some Altura tokens, get an investment that will grow as a community grows. And you never really lose. You're never really spending money to be here. You're building something with us and you're adding to your vision. And by the time the new year hits, you're going to actually be the new you. You don't have to wait till the next year, right? You don't have to wait till your New Year's goal gets fulfilled. You're stepping into it with a clear vision. And I'm excited to be able to have the software and the tools to give that to you guys. So, Anthony, why should people buy, the token? Why should they buy the membership? And why should they get in real quick before we wrap up here, especially right now during the holidays? What's the biggest, driving factors?
Biggest driving factors for why you should get the membership is the whole spiel about I just gave about kind of person we're targeting. What? Oh, he's pointing out.
They're just shouting us out. But
it's built for that kind of person. It's built for you. If you're watching this, you're probably that kind of person because you want to improve. You're watching a podcast about two dudes that are talking about their vision for a company they've created, right, and how you can get involved. It's built for you. It's built for people that want to develop, that are interested in self-improvement, interested in improvement in their business. And we're only going to grow from here, right? Like this is like the bottom floor, like one floor up, where we have a couple AI, tools built out for you guys to come use, and they're already.
Yeah, we just laid the concrete right now. It's not even a building yet.
Yeah, so that's one reason, like monetarily, right? Like you're investing in it while it's the cheapest it'll ever be, because we're not going to charge you, ridiculous price to be in our community or have a membership to our community when like a lot of those things are still in development, right? So it's honestly, you guys probably get the better end of the deal than we do on the price it stands at right now. Um, but that's okay, and that's completely fine because at this stage, like we really genuinely just want people to get eyes on it, to come in and like check out what we built and see if it helps you out and like grow with us together, help us develop it. Like the possibilities are endless at this stage of development, right? Maybe you're a great marketer and you want to come and figure out how to develop your marketing business, and it so turns out that you actually would be able to provide a huge help to developing the marketing team of Altura. It's like the possibilities are endless, man. Like, but you never know unless you come in. So that's a reason to buy or I say buy to consider membership, lifetime access to the NFT token. The crypto, probably the absolute, not even probably, is the absolute easiest point of entry or entry price for involving yourself with what we're doing in Altura Society, and monetarily too. Like Caleb didn't even mention the fact that aside from we're not promising like growth of the token because it's a utility token first before it is like anything else. But inevitably, like as the community grows, the price is going to go up. I'm not saying you're going to, 100x your investment, but you can 100% guaranteed earn money through staking, which you didn't mention earlier. So right now we're offering, if I'm not mistaken, it's still 30% APR for any amount of tokens staked through the website. Yep. So let's say you go buy 1 million alt, which I think comes out to like $50, $40 right now, something like that. And you decide to stake that. It's like, well, within how amount of time you staked it, I think it's like a year's or 6 months, something like that, to stake it.
3 months, 90
3
days.
months. What is it?
Well, yeah. So yeah, the APY is 30%, but you can stake it in durations of 90 days.
Oh, 90 days. So in 90 days, you could turn like $50 into a compounding interest of 50 plus 30%, whatever that is, over 3 months.
Yeah, it'll be prorated for the quarter, right? So it wouldn't be you wouldn't get the whole year. But yeah, if you just do that for the year, I mean, you'll say you put $1,000 in, the stock market returns 10 to 12%. Inflation's kicking our ass right now. 30% guarantee is you're never gonna find that anywhere, right? But we care about the growth, so we're willing to pay that.
Yeah, so that's insane monetarily, but also like there's some utility behind like voting rights, access to the. It wouldn't be lifetime access, but it could be like monthly access based on how much alt you own to the community and the tools we've developed. But overall, like why you should just worry about getting involved at all is the fact that we are a small business that's up and coming that is a potential solution for the issue of privacy and security, and among many other things that it's like actually tailored for entrepreneurs and developing their business, task management, figuring out strategic areas, the academy that's coming out, real world networking events. I could name the pillars a million times over, like I have. But like secondarily too, like you're a massive value driver for being a part of our community is the fact that your information stays with us, right? Stays, and when I say us, it's like the community. It's not going to your local data center so that they can better sell you things and send you things in the mail about how they can, how you can purchase this $1 million course and they'll scale your business up to whatever. And it's a way for you to avoid just voluntarily giving away parts of you that they can then also, which I didn't know until you talked about a couple podcasts ago, which is that if you like develop something awesome and it turns out to be a unicorn of a project, and you make a ton of money off of it, but you use ChatGPT or Grok to like help you build that, they could come back and potentially sue you or like cause problems for you because they owned they partially owned the rights to the information that you used to develop your project, right? So not a worry at Altura, not a worry with using Nova. Just another reason for you guys to come check it out. It's absolutely free to check out. Extended use of it if you wanted to make the most out of it. You obviously got to own some alt or just get the NFT pass because it's seriously like the biggest bang for your buck. Because not only are we also gifting tokens on top of like, let's say you purchase a lifetime membership access to the NFT, you also get tokens on top of that to start kind of circulating through the community as well, through the various ways that we have for that available. So you're not like you're in a way you're kind of like, especially if you then stake that for 90 days, like it's not really costing you much to be a part of something that's growing into the solution to problems you're having as an entrepreneur, as a young person, as a person just trying to develop and learn and stay safe out there. Genuinely, that's my spiel for why you should join. We're always open in our Telegram. Sometimes Discord, we're kind of phasing away from that, but in the Telegram for sure, in my DMs, questions, anything you have about like what it takes to join, how you can get involved, where the links are at for our link tree, anything. We're open books, and we're all about getting eyes on what it is we do. The website's down there, altarasociety.com. Links to everything there as well. Yeah, come join us, man. Come see what it's about and see what it is you have to offer as well. And we all want to, like I said, we're entrepreneurs ourselves, young, starting up, and we want to see success, multiply throughout the community. It's not just about us. We only do as good as our members do. So come and be a part of that if you're interested.
Yeah, look at why we're doing everything too. I mean, if we're giving out 30% interest, we're kind of expecting the token to appreciate way, way more and it's true, right? As more of you guys hold it and don't sell it, and there's only 2 to 3%, or there's actually about 3% of our supply available. 97% of our tokens aren't even out yet. So we're keeping it really small so the price can drive up exponentially, and then that can create some traction and some income, right? To allow us to scale the platform further. So if we're giving out 30%, it's clear that we plan on growing way, 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 way more than that with the platform too. And again, you guys will also get that because you'll own the tokens, and then you'll get paid out additional tokens to your tokens. You get paid out in tokens. So you guys are going to make, a lot of good decisions here being involved in this. And last thing, protect your privacy, protect your identity. Know what information you should have the right to keep as a person, especially in this economy that takes so much from you. And get clarity in this new year. You're thinking about it already. I know you are. So come to the one spot where you have the plan laid out through an AI, through a planner, through a calendar that actually wants to help you, and the people that are on the same path too. Have a great Tuesday night. And as we approach the holidays here, reflect and consider who you really want to be in this next year. And I'm excited to hopefully meet you on the inside. Take care, guys.
Y'all take care.